Part 81. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 801. Chapter 801 General Mu's sharp tongue. Ji Xian didn't know why he asked such a stupid question. He must have been influenced by Gu Ziyu. They had gone through ups and downs, experienced so many things, understood each other, and grown together. No one understood better than him. There is no one who understands Zhang Junlin better than Zhang Junlin. What nonsense are you talking about again, Ziyu? This has nothing to do with Ziyu. Today I suddenly realized when I looked in the mirror that my beauty has faded in my old age. I am afraid of losing my luster but love Qi. Zhang Junlin secretly thought that he had not learned Chinese well, but he had learned idioms. He looked at Ji Xian's face. This face would make him look old and faded. How could he let others live? Ji Xian has a relatively youthful appearance. It is estimated that when he is 40 years old, he will still have a youthful appearance. If you want to put it this way, I am older and less beautiful. Ji Sun hooked his neck, his eyes were hot and shining. Let me check it out. Chang Junlin. The next day, Zhang Junlin was invited by General Mu again. He said helplessly, Uncle Mu, I'm really busy. People are like iron, and food is like steel. We must eat. Lao Mu always made an appointment at the meal time, and Zhang Junlin could only keep the appointment. The main reason was that Lao Mu always calculated exactly where the two of them would work when he was in Jidao. Close. After Zhang Junlin arrived, he intuitively poured him tea. Lao Mu said, your son has handled a good case recently. He should be made a section chief. When you come out of that building, a stone will fall down. 5 to 6 out of 10 are the section chiefs. Not worth mentioning. Zhang Junlin also drank tea and waited for the food to be served. Lao Mu didn't know where he got the food he liked. Very appetizing. It's rare to have underage section chiefs. My son must be half as talented as my son. I'll wake up laughing in my dreams. Lao Mu laughed loudly. Isn't it annoying to compare people to others? Uncle Mu's words are serious. Mu Yun went to West Point through selection. 1 in 10,000 is selected. A genius is born only once every few years. His future is limitless. You will have a successor. He is still young. He has only been there for a month. Let's wait and see. If he can stay for 3 months, he is really capable. I am really afraid that he will be kicked out in less than 2 months. Mu Yun is so strong in single combat and very smart, so he can definitely stay. Are you smart? Didn't your son say that he is a stupid beauty? Zhang Junlin was speechless. Ziyu is young and ignorant. After all, anyone who compares with him will be a fool. Lao Mu laughed heartily, and the two of them blew a wave of rainbow farts at their son, and they were very happy. At least Lao Mu was very happy. After drinking for 3 rounds, Lao Mu repeated his old words, Junlin, please call me uncle, just give me permission and make demands. Now that Chen Liangdong has caught me, I will give you whatever you want. Uncle, Chen Liangdong and I are not the same family. Chen Liangdong and his wife met on the same boat. Why are we not a family? If Xiao Yuan was a daughter, I wouldn't mind having a son-in-law who is 16 years older than him. Lao Mu blurted out, and then thought of Zhang Junlin and Ji Xian, with a look on his face. Zheng, realizing that he had said the wrong thing, come on, drink, drink. This is absolutely impossible. The legs were broken. I really don't know why old man Zhang agreed. Scholars are so ungrateful. Zhang Junlin was indeed annoyed. Let's let Ye Ling go back to China, and I will meet him and have a face-to-face interview with him. This is a bit difficult. How to say? Others are in Paris. The plane landed in 13 hours. Lao Mu held the wine glass and thought to himself, the problem is that he is in the Paris lunatic asylum, and he really can't get out, and it's not that he doesn't want to come. The attending doctor said that his condition is very unstable recently and he is not suitable for long-distance flights. He didn't dare to tell the truth. If he really wanted to tell the truth, he would be worried if Zhang Junlin could change his mind. When Ye Ling regained consciousness, he told him that he would definitely recover, and the hope was not very slim. This man had a strong willpower, but if he really wanted to give me an accurate letter, he couldn't give it. What kind of accurate information can neurosis give? How about this, why don't you fly to Paris? I've been very busy recently. Lao Mu sighed, okay, I'll go back and discuss it with him. Okay, then I'll wait for Uncle Mu's confirmation letter. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 802. Chapter 802 Twin Sons. Zhang Junlin knew that Ye Ling was in a lunatic asylum. He had been locked up for 8 days this time. It was too easy for Guzio's information network to check a person. Ye Ling's illnesses were too frequent, and it didn't look like he could live a long life. He still had to go through it. After the review, Lao Mu must have taken a fancy to something else. It is unlikely to be Ye Ling's own ability. Ability can be replaced. It is not difficult for someone to replace Ye Ling's ability to do things, unless Ye Ling there is something irreplaceable by others. What is it? He is almost familiar with Ye Ling's information, and he hasn't figured out why. Among the 3 brothers from Dafang, one is in Paris, one is studying in country M and starting his own business, and the other is still studying and dawdling, and they don't look like they can become talents. Yes, what did he overlook? Zhang Junlin had a headache. He didn't know what he had overlooked, so he could only take advantage of it. Gu Si asked Lu Ziwen, if you were the elder brother, would you give Ye Ling the best advice? No way, who would trust a lunatic? He is not the same as Ye Ling. He is just a special soul with memories. Ye Ling is purely insane. It is no wonder that Zhang Junlin hesitated, but Zhang Junlin also relaxed. He did not relax because of Ye Ling, but because Lao Mu believed that Zhang Junlin would not agree if Lao Mu looked at people without seeing him in person. Lu Ziwen could understand his thoughts. Gu Si has been much more relaxed recently. She does not need to be in the hospital 24 hours a day for outpatient services and surgeries. Even if there is an emergency, she still has to go to the hospital. Things are not so complicated, and she also has her own rest time. She prepares herself well. Wedding. Qinwan was pregnant, so naturally she couldn't be a bridesmaid. By June, her belly was already pregnant, and she was pregnant with twins. Speaking of which, it was quite a joke. The fact that she had twins was very good. It had been found out a long time ago. When North and the doctor watched the film that day, the doctor thought that North had told Qinwan, so she didn't mention it during the subsequent prenatal checkup. North didn't think there was anything wrong with having twins, so she didn't mention it. I thought Qinwan also knew it from the doctor, so she unexpectedly found out 3 months later that they were twins. She was impatient and curious, so she came to the hospital that day and asked the doctor to check her gender, even though it was against the rules. But Gu Si made a special case for her, twin sons. Qinwan asked in surprise, not a daughter? No. Although Qinwan was a little regretful, she felt that it was a pity that she would have only one child in her life and not have a daughter. 2 sons were not bad. Ji Sun was happier than Rong Li and encouraged Rong Li, if we don't get married, each of us will have 1 child. Rong Li hadn't thought that far yet, and he didn't like the 2 brothers to be separated. Qinwan naturally didn't think about it either. The children were naturally hers. When they learned that they were twins, the Chen family was both happy and worried. As Qinwan, their belly is getting bigger and bigger, and they really can't hide it. They don't care about rumors, but in the future, people will talk about the Chen family behind their backs. Getting pregnant out of wedlock, and having illegitimate children are all very unpleasant. This is true for Chen Yang and Qinwan, Chen Liangdong. She didn't tell Chen Liangja that this was Rong Li's child. If she did, she would definitely explode. Qin Wan was already very obviously pregnant. Except for the bulge in her belly, there were no changes on her body or any discomfort. Rong Li felt that she had not suffered much during the pregnancy. The further you get in your pregnancy, the more you need someone to take care of you. How about coming to live in Huan? Rong Li suggested. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 803. Chapter 803. I'm not going to think about it. Qin Wan didn't want to come to live in Universal City at all. The name was not justified, and her parents would not agree. Now that she is older, North has reduced his working hours to take care of her. She knows why Rong Li made the suggestion. Qin Wan couldn't hide her pregnancy. She was not married, so there were many rumors. Although Qin Wan didn't hear anyone say it to her face, she also heard gossip that she was pregnant before marriage, which was a disgrace to her family. North and Chen Liangdong. It was originally a reunion, but Qin Wan became pregnant again out of wedlock. People like to bring up old things again, so they naturally brought up the matter of Chen Liangdong and North. The rumors are definitely not good to hear. Chen Yang had a fight with a young boy yesterday because he spoke harshly to Qin Wan, causing his eyes to bleed. Qin Wan more or less regretted his waywardness. Once he got in trouble and the whole family was gossiped about, Chen Liangdong had seen a lot. Guang, who had already expected this, had a calm mind, and chatted casually, as long as his daughter was safe. Qin Wan had been living in seclusion recently, except for going to school, so her classmates naturally knew that she was pregnant. On the contrary, peers of the same age did not say any gossip. Anyway, Qin Wan blocked the whole crowd when she said that her boyfriend died in a car accident. Most of them were just shocked that she was pregnant. Who could conquer Qin Wan? There was no discrimination. Instead, she received preferential treatment in school. Professor, they didn't say much. Rong Li brought up Universal, mainly because he wanted her to avoid those gossips. I don't need special care when I'm pregnant. The fetus is developing very well. Besides, I'm studying information and coming to live in Universal. Can the third master and Ji Sun rest assured? Qin Wan waved her hand. Don't ask for trouble. We live on the next floor. It was the residence of Gu Xianziu many years ago, but now this floor belongs to Rong Li. No, Qin Wan refused. My dad has high blood pressure. Today, Rong Li accompanies Qin Wan for a prenatal checkup. Chen Liangdong and North don't know whether intentionally or unintentionally, they will acquiesce that Rong Li accompanies Qin Wan for a prenatal checkup. It does not mean that they agree with Rong Li, because they think Qin Wan is pregnant. Finally, Rong Li must know Qin Wan's hard work and participate in the entire pregnancy process. If they take care of everything and Rong Li gets 2 children without experiencing anything, he may not be able to appreciate Qin Wan's efforts. Even though Qin Wan is always carefree and lively, she is a pregnant woman and having twins is already very hard. She hasn't reacted much yet. At most, she was hungry at night and asked Rong Li to buy food. Qin Wan felt very awkward. Ever since she was pregnant and Rong Li confessed her love, she felt that they were no longer comfortable getting along with each other. Rong Li, we should meet less often. Qin Wan still couldn't hold it back and wanted to talk. Zhang Junlin attended today's financial symposium hosted by Huijin and the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of the People's Republic of China. Zhang Junlin's status is quite special. Hualin is not a state-owned holding in the true sense. The proportion of state-owned shares is very small and the ownership structure is very complicated. It is not considered a central enterprise. But he fulfills the responsibilities of a central enterprise. Because he is also a yakuza, his dual identity means that his real power is much higher than his status. Of the four major domestic consortiums, the three largest are state-owned holdings and cover all aspects of various industries, except Hualien. The head of the four major financial groups, 6 generations of bankers from the Chang family have accumulated huge wealth. In the early days of the country's development, Hualien's role was to introduce foreign investment, develop the country's economic construction and earn foreign exchange for the country in the global market. Private investment group that promotes the development of the domestic financial industry. Subsidiaries involve consumer goods, gas, medicine, securities, funds, trusts, medical care, electronics, etc., with total assets of up to 2 trillion, making it a true financial giant. The domestic financial industry has 1 bank and 3 conferences, and the management situation is chaotic. It is still a deadlock. This kind of symposium is held by the top management almost every once in a while, with little effect. Such a huge system reform cannot be carried out by one person. Over the years, things have changed bit by bit, and the changes can be seen. After Black Hawk entered the market, the status of Ji Huan and Lu Ziwen could not be compared with Zhang Junlin. Such meetings would not be invited. Zhang Junlin could only let Ji Sun know about the policy changes. Do coping methods. Today's meeting is still talking about management and change issues. Everyone hopes that Zhang Junlin can take the lead in optimizing the current system. They have also heard that Zhang Junlin wants to transfer the branches of the Ji-Dao. The focus in the future will definitely be on in terms of finance. Modern wars are all trade wars, and finance must be the top priority. Because of energy issues, they also have to face financial and trade issues, but reform does not happen overnight. The cake here is so big that you can't even share it. The consortium is basically based on the family. Several generations of hard work, consolidation, and careful training of future generations slowly consolidate their power and status. Zhang Junlin's identity is also very special. He is a little more unique than them. Zhang Junlin must hand over as soon as the rumors about Ji-Dao came out. He guessed that someone wanted to weaken his voice in Hualien and hoped that the proportion of SASIC's shares or Huijin's shares could be increased. Although Zhang Junlin had expected it, he had attended several dinner parties recently, but no one mentioned it directly. At this meeting, someone actually asked Zhang Junlin face to face. The lines were very tactful, but the meaning remained the same. Zhang Junlin smiled and said, "You are all elders. Why don't you express your thoughts? I am a junior and I will listen." He is a junior, but his real power is greater than 90% of the elders present. Although the industry is ranked based on seniority, no one dares to challenge him. This time they really boldly proposed changes in the equity structure, and then if you say something hypocritically, this is just a suggestion. Mr. Zhang can consider it. Mr. Zhang is not going to consider it. I'm not going to think about it. Everybody. In the evening, Chen Liangdong went home and told Qin Wan about this. During the dinner for the family of 3, in addition to talking about Qin Wan's physical condition, they also talked about the situation. The situation has been particularly sensitive recently, because Zhang Junlin wanted to separate from the Ji-Dao, and one of them was involved. With all his body in motion, everyone wanted a piece of the cake, especially General Mu, who was looking for him every day. General Mu wanted to have an adult daughter and would definitely give it to Zhang Junlin. His eagerness to become a family made everyone want to share this cake. Zhang Junlin rarely expressed his attitude so directly. He quoted the past and discussed the present. He told the story of killing a donkey and criticizing the mulberry tree. Several Huijin bosses were so angry that they left the meeting on the spot. Once the news spread, the impact was quite big. Qin Wan slapped the table angrily. "That's unreasonable. Isn't it just bullying my master? Since he broke his arm, his power is not so centralized. Everyone wants to test his bottom line. Hualan is a family business that has been passed down for several generations. Every generation is dedicated to finance. The market has turned the tide, and now that he wants to branch out into overseas business, everyone is bullying him. Why didn't they speak up when he held symposiums like this before? Qin Wan's face turned dark. A bunch of old men, relying on their old age to sell themselves off. Impolite, Chen Liangdong scolded her with a smile, but he didn't really mean to scold her. Qin Wan felt very aggrieved. Because the master was in charge of the Jidao and the economic lifeline, he had never been close to anyone, and he was afraid of others. They misunderstood him for taking sides, so Hualan and Jidao were both independent. Before he separated from the business, someone came to test him. If the separation was really over, he still didn't know what the situation would be. Will Hualan continue to have his voice weakened? Wait for the next generation, and the next generation, will he not be where he is today? Glory! If the incident between her and Rong Li is exposed again, the master's situation will be even worse. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 804. Chapter 804, Raise Your Grandchildren Well. Qin Wan was so angry that he couldn't even eat dinner and had no appetite. Chen Liangdong and North looked at each other. Chen Liangdong was really a bit hungry. He was going to be bullied. Would his daughter be so aggrieved? Okay, don't worry about Zhang Junlin. He has no perfect plan and will not rashly separate from the Jida. Chen Liangdong said, he has his own plan, but the relationship between Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun is really awkward. Only Ziyu has a son. Ziyu has taken this path. It would be great if he has another son to inherit Hualan, otherwise, after his death, Hualan's ownership will be a big problem. Such a behemoth must be gradually nationalized. Then Ji Sun must not go crazy. Qin Wan was confused. I gave birth to 2 children, give one to him. Chen Liangdong. Norse. What? Can you say that again? Stop talking nonsense, North said with a smile. There will be a solution to this matter. Despite Zhang Junlin's calm demeanor at the meeting, he threw the glass when he returned to the office. The secretary and the security team were silent, not daring to say a word. Zhang Qiang wanted to send a message to Ji Sun to put out the fire, but he held it back. It was the master's private matter. He didn't dare to tell anyone, even to Ji Sun. He wasn't allowed. It's one thing to anticipate some things, but another thing to actually face them. Why do they naively think that by separating from the extreme realm, they will cut off their own arms? After Zhang Junlin got angry, Zhang Minghua came to see him after returning to Hualan. Zhang Minghua said, if you want to separate the Jida, you also want our descendants to be liberated. There is nothing wrong with taking a step back, as long as the demands are not excessive. Our family's wealth accumulation has been beyond the reach of our descendants, no matter how much they squander it. When our eyes are darkened, why should we worry about the things behind us? The family trust fund is worth hundreds of billions, and we can live smoothly just by receiving living expenses. There is no need to get angry about these things. Zhang Junlin said, Dad, a beggar comes to beg. If you give him a bowl of rice, he will ask for a piece of meat. If you give him a meal today, he will come again tomorrow. He knows that your family has a lot of money, and he will be able to pull a group of people. One day beggars come to your house to beg, and one day you don't want to give them food, they can unite and destroy your house. This is such a simple truth. Zhang Minghua didn't know, he just felt that Zhang Junlin had lived a very hard life for more than 10 years and he didn't need to worry about anyone anymore. What do you want? Hualan has too many industries. There are more than a dozen listed companies alone, covering a wide range of fields. Unless Zhang Junlin maintains the status quo, in fact, he is Lao Mu's enemy this time. Lao Mu was so diligent in looking for Zhang Junlin, and he knew what he was going to do without having to think about it. They didn't want Zhang Junlin to do what Lao Mu wanted. This was a test of the bottom line and a subtle warning. If Chang Junlin maintains the status quo, nothing may happen. News of this kind of meeting spread quickly. Ji Sun and Lu Ziwen also knew the news. They were both in the same circle. Although they would not be invited to participate in such a symposium, they had many acquaintances, including Zhang Junlin, and with Ji Sun's relationship, many people would reveal information to Ji Sun. Have you ever thought about letting Zhang Junlin give birth to offspring? Lu Ziwen asked in a leisurely manner. If you feel uncomfortable, you can also give birth. It's a tie. Ji Sun, this matter has nothing to do with having offspring. Lu Ziwen, it's more or less related. Third Master, don't worry, we are urging you to get married and have children early. He is 13 years old this year. He will get married and have children in 7 years. We are still young. My brother and I will raise our grandchildren well. Lu Ziwen. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 805. Chapter 805. Isn't it too comfortable? Ji Huan got off work before 5 o'clock and called Zhang Junlin. Brother, my bones hurt a little. Do you want to go to the hot springs together? Why does the bone hurt? I used to have a recurring problem with gunshot wounds recently. It's been cloudy and it's been a bit dull. Have you gone to the hospital? It's an old problem. The doctor suggested that I soak in hot springs more often. Where do you want to go? How about going to the hot spring we went to 5 years ago? I've made a reservation and will pick you up now. Zhang Junlin thought to himself that his bones hurt, and taking a medicinal bath in the bathtub would be different. Okay, come here. His work efficiency was not good today. He happened to go out with Ji Sun to relax. Nick asked, Master, do you want to clear the place in advance? What are you doing to clear the place? It doesn't matter. Nick is a little worried and will discuss it with Zhang Qiang later. The guarding has indeed been relatively relaxed in the past 6 months, and there have been basically no major incidents. The calmer he is, the more careful he has to be. Ji Sun deliberately dressed casually. When he saw Zhang Junlin, he laughed out loud. When he pulled him into the car, he couldn't help but give him a hug. He raised the lift panel and Zhang Qiang sat in the passenger seat and the back seat. They have long been used to the sound and don't take it seriously. Zhang Junlin tugged on his tie, unbuttoned it, and put on a straight tie, hanging loosely. This tie was also given by Ji Sun. Now his clothes and accessories are basically picked by Ji Sun. The designer, his eyes are very vicious, and every outfit suits Zhang Junlin very well. Where does the bone hurt? Zhang Junlin was satisfied and gently pushed him away. Ji Huan was furious. He also knew that the car was inconvenient, so he patted his leg casually and said, My leg hurts. Where? Ni Ji Sun said, I've been shot before. It hurt a little on rainy days, but it wasn't serious. I just thought about going to a hot spring. Zhang Junlin knew that he had been shot in the knee, but he had never heard him cry out in pain. He was young and his bones healed quickly. When he went for a checkup, he asked Ji Xian to go with him. Gu Si had said that his old injuries would heal quickly. Well maintained and well raised. It really hurts. It hurts, so I can't kneel down. Ji Sun blinked, indicating something. Chang Junlin. The two of them arrived at the hot spring hotel. It was not a rest day in the deep mountains and old forests, and there were not many people. Zhang Junlin and Ji Xian occupied a good position, and Nick, Zhang Qiang, and others also went to rest. Zhang Qiang and Nick discussed it and decided to find a high point guard. Zhang Qiang said, That's not good. Are you going to watch again? You go, I won't go. You are so unloyal. You are loyal, then go ahead. Nick. Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun really took a bath in the hot springs. Zhang Junlin had been exercising all year round. His body was very muscular, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. Ji-sun asked him to lie on the stone and said, "I'll give you a press." His muscles have been very hard recently. The person next to him knows his pressure best. Jang Junlin has been busy until around 3 o'clock at night recently and has to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. He is seriously lacking in sleep. "Just a massage? I have to serve you first." Ji Xian lightly touched his shoulder, took the essential oil, rubbed his hands together to warm them, and then pushed on his shoulders and back with moderate force. Jang Junlin was pressed until he fell asleep. This kind of small hot spring pool is basically used by couples, little sisters, or a group of friends to play together, and then choose a hot spring to soak in. It is also very private. They are at a high place and no one is disturbed. Jang Junlin did not expect that he actually fell asleep comfortably. Ji-sun was also dumbfounded. Is it so comfortable? Moi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 806. Chapter 806. Brother, do you want a child? When Jang Junlin woke up, it was already 2 o'clock in the middle of the night. He also felt incredible that he had slept from about 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock. He turned over and woke up. Ji-sun also woke up. He touched his hand and asked confusedly, "Are you hungry?" He was really hungry. He was in a bad mood all day today and didn't eat anything for lunch. He originally planned to have a meal after soaking in the hot springs, but unexpectedly he slept until late at night. The kitchen must have turned off at this time, because he was in a deep mountain. The hotel turns off the stove at 12 o'clock. Ji Xian asked the hotel to prepare meals before 12 o'clock. They were some soups and pots, which were placed in a thermos box to prevent Jang Junlin from waking up hungry in the middle of the night. "Why did I fall asleep? I'm such a great technician." Ji-sun chuckled and took him to eat. He gave him a bowl of lychee and pork rib soup first. Jang Junlin felt warm in his heart. The guard and his lover were really different, especially these days. "I have a profound experience. For example, Zhang Qiang is also very careful and conscientious. He even obeys his words and is willing to sacrifice his life for him. However, he is not as meticulous as Ji Xian. He will also heat up food for him and wait for him to wake up in the middle of the night." Ji Xian woke up almost as soon as he turned over. "Did you have a comfortable sleep this time?" Jang Junlin glanced at the incense burner beside the bed and said with a chuckle, "You have specially lit the incense to help you sleep. Of course you fell asleep soundly. If you wake up in the middle of the night, the fragrance is still gone, you should sleep until dawn. Then the table of food you prepared was not eaten by anyone. Then let it cool down." Ji Xian said with a chuckle, and drank a bowl of soup with him. "You haven't slept too much recently. I used to say that if your son dies suddenly after staying up late, don't set a bad example for him. It's not such an exaggeration." Jang Junlin squeezed his face. "Did Black Hawk also spread the news about me being made things difficult for me in today's meeting? Good things don't go out, and bad things spread thousands of miles. President Jiang usually trains people. When it's President Jiang's turn to make things difficult, there will naturally be rumors." Ji-sun said funnily, "Are you sulking when you come back?" "No. Real." Jang Junlin looked at him angrily. As long as he knew what to do, he was not made of clay. He had a bad temper, but he just controlled it well. "This matter has spread, which means that my cultivation is still not good enough. When I got home, when I was 3 years old, my grandfather told me that I must learn to control my temper and not expose my emotions in front of others at will, even my family. Grandpa is too strict. Isn't a 3-year-old child old enough to play with toys?" Jang Junlin chuckled. Ji Xian had seen photos of Jang Junlin when he was 3 years old. The Zhang family had several photo albums, all of which were photos of Zhang Junlin from childhood to adulthood. He took a lot of photos before he was 16, dozens of them a year. Photos, after the age of 16, can only be taken on holidays, but obviously there are fewer. I don't have the age group to play with toys, Zhang Junlin said. After the age of 3, every day's courses are fully scheduled. From 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., it is study time. After eating and taking a shower, I have to learn hours of language classes, going to bed on time at 10 o'clock. Wow, why is Zio living so comfortably? Is Zio living a comfortable life? He must have learned more. He came to spend the weekend around the world, and the third master took him to race cars, play games, and play golf. Zhang Junlin twitched his lips and did not express an opinion. Everyone has his own way of raising children. Gu Ci is a free-range child, while Lu Ziwen seems to only care about Ziu's food, drink, and fun. Ziu relies on intuition. After dinner, Ji Sun saw that he was in good spirits, but he probably couldn't sleep anymore. Shall I go downstairs with you for a walk? Are not you sleepy? When you fell asleep, I fell asleep with you. Really? Ji Sun raised his eyebrows and blinked ambiguously. Originally, I brought you to the hot springs to live in the world of two people. It was a vigorous exercise, and you fell asleep. I won't. What are you doing sleeping? Chang Junlin. Ji Xian poked his waist and said, of course, if you are full, you can do it now. Let's go downstairs and take a walk. Ji Yu clicked his tongue, got up and put on some clothes. The two of them went downstairs for a walk together. Zhang Qiang and a guard were on duty. Zhang Junlin asked them to rest and stop following. Zhang Qiang agreed on the surface or followed. They were 10 meters behind them, not daring to let them out of sight. Brother, in addition to making things difficult for you, will they send people to assassinate you? No, Zhang Junlin said with a chuckle, when I was with you, the interests behind it were complicated, so I was assassinated. Now it won't happen. When I die, the Jida is a piece of loose sand, a piece of cake without an owner. It will attract hungry wolves to fight for each other, and I will reduce the number of guards and transfer them to more needed positions. That's okay. Ji Xian rarely discussed the issue of inheritance with him. In the dead of night, he also thought about it. People are not immune to vulgarity. Would you regret that a giant like Hualin would not have a bloodline to inherit him in the future? If you didn't have any children, inheritance will be directly nationalized in the future, and the hard work of our ancestors will be ruined. Although I would like to say that it is an honor for the Chang family to donate money to the country, however, I do not have such a great sentiment. Ji Xian pretended to be surprised. Really? I thought you could donate assets worth trillions without blinking an eye. Zhang Junlin was amused by him. You donate trillions of family property, but you have nothing but a good reputation. Besides, it is not certain whose pocket this property will end up in. Why should I sacrifice my family? What should I do? You don't have an heir. I will urge my children to get married early and have children early. Ji Sun. It's a coincidence that we have the same understanding. Ji Xian was overjoyed. As expected, two people couldn't sleep on the same bed. Okay, let's just hope that Zio can create a football team. Well, it's better for him to fall in love and have children at the age of 20. Zio's character is a bit uncertain. Ji Sun felt a little too optimistic. He has been hanging out with me since he was a child. Have you considered his hobbies? Zhang Junlin, be interesting and talk about something else. Ha 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 ha. Ji Sun's laughter startled the birds in the mountain, and they flew up in clusters. The whole mountain was filled with his laughter. Okay, let's change the topic. He paused and said, how about you have a child? Zhang Junlin. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 807. Chapter 807. Do you want more children? Zhang Junlin thought to himself, you are really good at chatting. First you bring up a heartbreaking topic, and then another. Anyone may bring up the topic of children, except Ji Sun. In fact, he has talked about this topic with his parents, grandparents, and grandpa and grandma are open-minded. They accept Ji Sun as a family member, but feudalism is also really feudal. Very concerned about blood inheritance. Although Ziyu also has the blood of the Zhang family, Lu Ziwen and Gu Xi do not plan to have children. The Zhang family sincerely regards Ziyu as a grandson, but they feel ashamed of the Lu family. They have also talked with Zhang Junlin. Child problems. Chang Junlin didn't want any heirs, so he made up a set of reasons, which were actually half true and half false. One was for Ji Sun, and the other was that he really didn't want his children to bear such a heavy burden as the Ji Dao. Now, the most dangerous business of the Yakuza has been separated, and the worries of the past no longer exist. People have different ideas at every stage. At this stage, there are no worries like 5 years ago. But the child, he still has not considered it. Because Ji Sun would not accept it? If Ji Sun had the temperament to accept it, it would be a miracle that it would rain red from the sky. What did Lu Ziwen say to you again? What does this have to do with Third Master? If he stops talking nonsense, will you change your mind? Ji Sun's face was slightly startled, and he held his hand tightly, as if absorbing his body temperature to keep each other warm in the middle of the night. I have been wandering since I was a child, and I have no concept of family, nor any idea of inheritance. I have returned to China in the past few years. The influence of domestic culture is quite serious. Let's talk about these centuries-old families in City A. Let's talk about my grandfather's family first. The Lao Wang family attaches great importance to inheritance. The education of their children is strict, and the character inspection is even more stringent. They must ensure that the family will always be prosperous. Let's talk about the Mu family. They were once pushed to the bottom and almost couldn't get up, but they were cautious in their words and deeds, endured the humiliation for a while, never acted impulsively, and finally stood up again, which is visible to the naked eye. Going uphill. The situation of the Zhang family is similar to that of the Wang family. These old families are low-key and prosperous. They rely on the blood of generations, and everyone pays attention to the family's reputation, prestige, and glory. In the future, whether it is a war or an economic crisis, we will be the mainstay and firmly established. The bank, founded by 6 generations of the Chang family's century-old financial family, I don't want to end it in the hands of your generation, and I don't want to be so selfish. More importantly, he wanted to accompany Zhang Junlin for 100 years and did not want Zhang Junlin to feel regretful after 50 years. Xiao Sun. Brother, I have thought about it carefully in the dark night. Ji Sun's eyes were very gentle and honest. He has your blood, I will love him. The Zhang family will not be ruined in my generation. Zhang Junlin did not expect that Ji Sun could compromise to this extent. Unexpectedly, I said that I will raise Ziyu's children. Is Ziyu going to stay unmarried for the rest of his life? Ji Xian said. With Ziyu's personality, between getting married and being alone for the rest of his life, I think the latter is more likely. Let's talk about the future in the future. Don't worry about things that have never happened. Let's live each day well now. Zhang Junlin said in a deep voice, I have made up my mind, you don't have to say anything anymore. This is overbearing. Zhang Junlin took a deep breath and said, Ji Sun, I'm telling you seriously, it's not necessary. Why? Since we are going to talk about something that has never happened, let's assume that if you have a child, when the child is 3 years old, you and he fall into the hands of criminals at the same time. If you choose one of the two, I choose the child, you will be sad. Why did you choose a child? Ji Sun was stunned. Zhang Junlin used data to speak very ruthlessly. According to scientific data, if the husband and son are kidnapped at the same time, the probability of the mother choosing the son and sacrificing the husband is probably 90%. If the wife and son are kidnapped at the same time, the probability of the husband choosing the son, almost 100%. What do you think the probability is that I will choose the child? Ji Xian looked blank, as if he had been shocked. Only you will always be my 100% choice. If you have a child, that won't necessarily be the case, Zhang Junlin asked calmly. After all, he is a 3-year-old child. You will understand, right? Ji Sun. Do you want more children? Zhang Junlin asked gently. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 808. Chapter 808, Find someone to support you. Ji Huan himself wanted to talk about the topic of children, but when he did, he was beaten to the point of being sickly by Zhang Junlin. He was silent and absent-minded all the way, and Zhang Junlin couldn't bear it. Prescribing the right medicine means being more ruthless to avoid recurrence of the disease. Zhang Junlin still couldn't bear it. Xiao Xian, I don't hope that one day in the future, I will make you sad. No matter whether I will change my mind in the future, I still think so at this moment. If one day, I regret it, you just drag me to hell, okay? Okay, Ji Xian agreed happily. If one day Zhang Junlin regrets it, then let's really go to together, and don't torture anyone else. Zhang Junlin burst out laughing. He will always remember the conversation this night, and he will always remember that Ji Huan was willing to retreat beyond his own bottom line for him. This little fool always lets go of the bottom line and takes whatever he wants. He will never meet such a fool again. We won't talk about children anymore. Zhang Junlin stretched out his little finger to hook up with him. I'll never mention it again, Ji Huan said unhappily. After having a child, I become the second choice, so forget it. Suddenly I feel that children are very annoying, even children with the blood of my brother are very annoying. Zhang Junlin lowered his head and smiled softly. Ji Sun bumped him with his elbow. Although it's hypothetical, you lied to me, right? Who knows, there won't be any children for me to practice. Zhang Junlin was silent for 3 seconds and suddenly asked, now that we have talked, let me ask you, one day Lu Ziwen and I were kidnapped, do you save him or not? Help me. The third master can fly, why should we save him? What if he can't fly? He just can fly. Can't. No. Your assumption is not valid at all. Ji Sun looked up at the stars. Brother, there is Vega today, look. Zhang Junlin took his hand and pointed in another direction. Vega is over here. Ji Sun. The two of them went back to the company early the next morning. Ji Xian looked happy and planned to go on vacation with Zhang Junlin in half a month. Vacationing can really relax people. What contrasted sharply with his cheerful face was Rong Li's resentment. Qin Wan refused to come to live in Huan. This is not expected, what is there to complain about? Ji Sun said, it would be strange if she came. Mr. Wan called Ji Sun and asked him to go home in the evening. Ji Sun packed up and went to Wang's house at 5 o'clock. He went to the restaurant downstairs and picked up 2 plates of fresh sea urchins and 2 pounds of weijiao. He almost always came here. I won't be empty-handed, but I won't bring anything expensive. Unless it's someone's birthday, I will usually bring food. Most of the time, I have made an appointment and prepared it in advance. If it is a last-minute decision, I will go downstairs to gather the ingredients. Sea urchin and weijiao are the Wang family's favorite foods, and the restaurant's sea urchin and weijiao are of the best quality. He came early and avoided the traffic jam. The sun had just gone down, and Mr. Wang was doing Tai Chi in the yard. Ji Huan handed the ingredients to his grandma and said with a smile, Grandpa, do you do Tai Chi morning and night? I stopped doing Tai Chi in the morning and went fishing, Mr. Wang said. It's been a lot of fun fishing with Lao Zhang these days. I'll take you with me another day. Okay, my brother and I also like fishing. Did you get anything fishing today? I caught a grass carp and made soup for it. It's wild. I drank 2 more bowls at night. Okay, no problem, Ji-sun said with a smile. Have uncle and brothers gone home? It's early. Mr. Wang pulled him to the side and sat down to drink tea. I want to tell you something. Your uncle said that Junlin was made things difficult at the meeting. Why didn't you come to Grandpa for help? Your uncle was not there that day. Otherwise I will definitely support him, and it will be the turn of those old men to lose face. How did this matter reach your ears? Who is your uncle? How can you hide this kind of news from him? My uncle will tell you what to do. You can enjoy your life in retirement. He can handle it, don't worry. You younger generation must be able to handle it. Can you drag him to a hot spring to relax? Mr. Wang said, poking his head and scolding him. You are just stupid. When children are bullied outside, they go home to find adults supportive. Ji-sun. Moi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 809. Chapter 809. Ji Xian shows off his husband. Ji-sun had heard a little bit that the central bank was originally taking the lead, but his uncle was not there. He obviously knew about their relationship and specially transferred it without revealing any information beforehand. Uncle Wang was furious when he heard the news. I wanted to ask Ji-sun and Zhang Junlin to come over for dinner last night. I called Ji-sun and he said that he and Zhang Junlin were going to the hot springs so that they wouldn't be disturbed, so they just had to wait until today. Ji Huan said, Grandpa, I really don't need help. My brother is picking. Wait, are you here to make excuses? Mr. Wang laughed and said, you brat, you are still wary of Grandpa. Then you still have to be careful. If you want to use clichés, I'll be more careful. Zhang Junlin can tell you everything. Will he discuss with you such a big thing as the transfer of the Ji-dao? Mr. Wang really doesn't know how they get along. He always feels that although Ji-sun and Zhang Junlin are partners and allies, in fact, they can be regarded as enemies. Their identities are still a bit sensitive, and the scale of getting along with them is difficult to control. If they want to start the mode, their elders can't stop them. We'll talk, but we won't talk in depth. Ji-sun chuckled and said, do you want to talk about it? I want to support him, okay. That's really not necessary, Ji-sun said. My brother has a very strong self-esteem. He doesn't speak up because he doesn't need it and wants to solve it himself. Besides, Lao Mu has come to him so many times and it is reasonable for others to warn him. As long as it doesn't hurt him, there's nothing to worry about because of anger and quarrels. He's still young, and old men will suffer if they quarrel with him. Can self-esteem be eaten? Young people should seek advice from adults more often. Although Junlin is in charge of overseas affairs, he is also the president of Hualien Bank. After all, he is relatively independent. Many situations cannot be understood. The relationship between the aristocratic family and the aristocratic family. The relationship between you is so complicated that it can't be explained in one sentence. There are many pitfalls and you need someone to point you out. He doesn't mind. Recently, you bring him back for dinner more often. Grandpa doesn't ask you for words. If you want to know something, just ask him. As a family, don't talk. He would be so tactful, and if he didn't mention it, Grandpa would understand what he meant. Mr. Wang said, in this situation, you must be cautious at every step. Direct insults at meetings must never happen again. Everyone here. Behind a person is a huge family network. If you offend someone who is small-minded, I will give you a hard blow in the future. New. It's best to keep it in mind. He offended others and did not pursue political career. The revenge will be on Ziu. Wang Lao said sincerely. Why did Chen Liangdong have a difficult life when he was young, but it was smooth after he was 40? That's it? When he was young, he was unruly, rebellious, disobedient to orders, disobedient, and fell down a lot. Now you see that he is all round and greets everyone with a smile. Have you ever seen him when he was young? His temper was still too much. The only one who can step forward if he is tough, a little soft, and has a strong temper is Lao Mu. His confidence comes from his brother and military merit. Then my brother's confidence lies in financial capital and military merit, which is no worse than Lao Mu. Ji Sun couldn't help but protect him. But Junlin is only in his early 30s. Most people have to be 50 years old to have their capital and military achievements. Now that you have Lingren's capital, you have to be more tactful in dealing with things. Otherwise, how many people will be watching you? Just shoot the first bird. Mr. Wang said. I'll bring him here to listen to your lecture another day. Ji Sun chuckled and said, anyway, in the final analysis, my brother is so awesome that others are jealous of him. Mr. Wang couldn't help laughing. You really can't wait to show off your treasure, right? Grandpa, I'll keep it in mind. I'll play it to him on a loop when I go back. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 810. Chapter 810 Reading Comprehension Full Score. Before Ji Huan left, Lao Mu came, grabbing some food and showing up uninvited. Mr. Wang said. He didn't really want to let Lao Mu in. Before Mr. Wang retired, his rank was much higher than that of Lao Mu. After retirement, his 3 sons supported the family, and their overall strength was still strong. Few people would come uninvited. Mr. Wang said, he is so persistent. Where did he find out you were here? You really didn't say that. Ji Sun didn't believe it. Is it such a coincidence? That's not true, Mr. Wang smiled and waved. Then am I being monitored? Ji Xian joked, Grandpa, you have to support me. Lao Wang. While he was talking, Lao Mu came in. He was dressed in casual clothes. He was tall and strong. Before he even saw the door, laughter came from the door. He was particularly hearty. The uncle stood up to greet him. Lao Mu took a look at the dishes. My dog's nose is very sharp, and I know that your family is going to have a big meal. Are you missing a meal? Wang Lao said with a smile. Boss, open a bottle of wine and let Lao Mu and I have a drink. Okay, Dad. Lao Mu sat next to Mr. Wang, and Ji Sun sat on Mr. Wang's right hand. As a junior, he just nodded and said hello. There was no need to pay special courtesy. This is your grandson. It's the first time I've seen him. He's really good looking at first glance. It's the genes of the Lao Sheng family. Can you speak? Mr. Wang glared at him. Which one of my family members is not good looking? Fortunately, it's not like you, Lao Mu said. My Xiao Yuan is just like me. How pretty. Lao Wang, my IQ is also like yours. Old Mu was hit by an arrow in the knee. All the Old Mu family has high IQ genes. Like the Zhang family, only Old Mu is a scumbag. Even if his wife is a university professor, he can't save him. While chatting and laughing, the uncle opened the wine and poured it into the wine divider for them all. Lao Mu said, Ji Sun, would you like a glass? He doesn't want to drink. He has a bad stomach. He was hospitalized some time ago. I'm here to drink with you, Wang Lao said with a smile. Ji Sun also came to the meeting, raised his teacup and said, Junior, I would like to drink tea instead of wine, and I would like to propose a toast to the general. Okay, come one. Lao Mu was very generous and raised his glass to clink with him. Young people should take good care of their stomachs. If their stomachs are broken, nothing they eat will taste good. Yes, I have learned a lesson. I will not drink any alcohol from now on and take good care of my stomach. You're so good, I wish you had my son, Lao Mu said. Mr. Wang, I'm even jealous. Mr. Wang thought speechlessly, it's not him you are jealous of, it's the person beside Zhang Junlin. When Lao Mu heard about Ji Huan and Zhang Junlin for the first time, his jaw dropped. At that time, he didn't know that Ji Huan was Wang's grandson. He thought that Zhang Junlin was really wild and must be a beauty trap that others didn't take advantage of. How could he give up his marriage and family and be with Ji Sun when he just kicked Ji Ji away? Later, I heard that they had been separated for 5 years, and that Lao Mu had opened the door to a new world. I just felt incredible and wondered why the Zhang family still accepted Ji Sun. Later, I heard gossip that Ji Huan was the grandson of Mr. Wang. Lao Mu thought with schadenfreude, just wait, Mr. Wang, an upright man, must beat the Mandarin duck. As a result, he waited and waited until Ji Huan brought Zhang Junlin. Come to Wang's house as a guest. Lao Mu secretly thought that the world was really full of malice towards feudal middle-aged people, and he couldn't accept it anyway, but he would not dictate other people's feelings or family affairs. Don't be poor. If your son doesn't want it, just give it to me. If he were your grandson, his legs would have been broken long ago, Lao Mu said. I am a loving father. Mr. Wang said, Xiao Yuan will cry when he hears it. If he is sent back within half a year, I will break his legs. The second uncle said, didn't you say last time that you would be lucky if you survived for 3 months? The uncle said, because it has lasted for 3 months now, and Lao Mu is fickle. It's hard to guess the thoughts of a loving father. Everyone laughed, and old Mu didn't mind at all. Now everyone is waiting for when Mu Yuan will be kicked out. Anyway, after 3 months, he has grown up. Everyone in the following, you can make money every day. If you can sustain this for 2 years, you can boast for a lifetime. When Xiao Yuan comes back, bring Ji Sun to my house to play more often. They should make more friends when they are young. Sure, Mr. Wang agreed immediately. Anyway, it will be a year and a half later. At the dinner table, the conversation was very pleasant, and everyone was sensible and did not mention official matters. After the meal, Lao Mu took Mr. Wang to drink tea and said in a low voice, Uncle, just do me a favor. Mr. Wang shook his head and said, you can go directly to Zhang Junlin about this matter. Your grandson-in-law has always been rejected by me. Did I not find him? Lao Mu's voice became louder. He dared to reject me. Do you believe it? The number of people in the country who could deny Lao Mu a chance can be counted on one hand. He came uninvited, and Mr. Wang didn't even let him get a shut-in. I've been rejected before, what do you think? You said that, and I was comforted, Lao Mu said. Yelling's situation is a bit unstable, but we have basically settled it. When he is not sick, he is still very reliable. Chen Liangdong has too many things to take care of. There are too many, and the functions are similar, so it would be a waste to give it to him. He is just biased against Yelling. Then I really can't control it, Mr. Wang said. I don't know what to say about Zhang Junlin's temper. He hasn't been a guest at home recently. How about you condescend to invite him and invite me to go fishing next week? Who among the young people wants to participate in activities for the elderly? Mr. Wang scolded him, you have to go. I invite him, are the two of us just fishing? At least he will look at Ji Sun's face. Zhang Junlin is really difficult to deal with. If it doesn't work, I will use force. Save it, Mr. Wang said, how dare you? Tell me about it. Tell me. Uncle, I really have no choice. The martyr girl is afraid of stalking the man, so I have been stalking him, but he is still indifferent. What can I do? I can only convince you first, and then we can convince him together. Just tell me what you want. As long as I can give it, I will definitely promise you. Mr. Wang raised his eyebrows, you are wasting your time on me, why not ask Zhang Junlin what he wants? He hasn't made up his mind yet, which means that the chips you gave are not enough. If the chips are enough, he will nod. He wanted to see Yeling, but he couldn't. That's really impossible. Is it useful to please your grandson? Lao Mu came to see Ji Sun today, also wanting to find out what he was saying. He couldn't find out from other places, so Ji Sun hoped to get an accurate information. But who knew that this young man was as slippery as a loach? In Xiaoxuan's eyes, there is no one else but Zhang Junlin unless it is Black Eagle's own interests. He will definitely help Zhang Junlin. Understood. What do you understand? If I give Black Eagle enough chips, won't he agree to me? I finally understand why you always failed in Chinese when you were in school, Wang Laiyi pointed out. Reading comprehension is really good. Lao Mu. End of this chapter.